Good morning, my fellow treasure hunters. I hope you had a great Christmas and were able to spend time with your family, enjoying the season. Hope you were able to get home, have safe travels. Anyway, today I'd like to talk about something that I usually don't talk about other people's projects or other YouTube channels or things unless it parallels some of my own research. But today I want to do a quick overview of one of my favorite other channels that I follow, and that's a history channel, and the Curse of Oak Island. I know this has been going on for a long time. A lot of people have kind of lost interest and they make fun of them not finding anything, but in all reality that's the way that treasure hunting and archaeology really works. You don't find large treasures except after a long, hard struggle in most instances. Anybody that's followed any of the large treasure caches, sites, shipwrecks that have been found over the years, these things usually don't reveal themselves until after excruciating work, sometimes the loss of life, and great expense. If you look at the story of Mel Fisher and the Etosha, you look at the sacrifices that he made. He lost family members. It took a great amount of financial backing and many years in order for him to finally solve the mystery of the Etosha. And I do believe that on Oak Island, the Lagina brothers and their searchers and researchers, that they will resolve this mystery. I think they could have expedited things. I think there was a quicker way to get to the solution than what they've done. I think they should have open pit mined the money pit and went down in there with a large excavation. I think that, in fact, I think that may be the only way in the end that they really are able to recover or to find everything that may be there. One thing about the money pit that I do believe, or I feel, is that the treasure was down, it was booby-trapped, and when the searchers set off the water or hit it when they were drilling, I believe that the treasure was positioned in such a way that when it was disturbed, if you didn't understand how it was put on the platform or how it was set up, that it slid down on an angle. And if you had it on a platform and when it was disturbed, you had a channel and it slid down on an angle, you could have it slide down, 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 slide down, slide, and it could be hundreds of feet from its original position. And they found swages, they found chisels, they found tunneling tools. Those are not tools, those tools are not things that you need to dig in the dirt, down in the ground to set up where they've been boring and drilling. In the show, they drill down to bedrock and then they quit. Why would you need swages, chisels, rock tunneling tools to dig through the dirt? Why do they stop when they hit bedrock? I think that the treasure has slid below bedrock in a tunnel, in a shaft, in a channel that was cut specifically for the purpose of hiding the treasure away from searchers. or it could be in an entirely different area on the island. But when they do find it, it's going to be in a stone tunnel. It's not going to be sitting in the dirt in an excavated hole. Otherwise, there'd be no point to the chisels, no point to the rock tools. There'd be no point to. After all, what are the Masons and the Templars all about? They're builders. They're stone builders. They're excavators of stone. They build structures in stone, and that's their legacy. And if you look at all the caves and the structures where their hideouts were in the old world, in Europe, all over Spain and Britain, France, Scotland, everywhere they went, their hideouts were down in excavated stone caverns and caves. They excavated those out of softer stone and went and made their hideouts, their lairs, down inside the ground. They didn't do it in a dirt hole in the ground with cover over the top. They did it out of stone tunnels and caves and very substantial protected forts and shelters. They found many artifacts over the years, and the one thing about the show that I am not certain of is whether or not some of these artifacts have been planted by the History Channel or by whoever their subsidiaries are to sell the show. I don't know how legitimate those artifacts are. I do believe the massive stones, the megaliths, the way the structures of the island is set up, and all those things are obviously things that have been looked at and followed for hundreds of years. But the little artifacts that they're consistently finding, like the lead cross, the brooch that possibly came off of a Masonic or Templar a breast piece to represent the ceremony that the Israelites would have performed with the Ark of the Covenant. I don't know whether or not those things were planted or whether they were legitimately found. And because of the way that they do things on the island, you notice when Gary Drayton goes around metal detecting, he's metal detecting flags of what the archaeologists already went through there and metal detected it. That's not a very good optic. I don't understand why it's not organic metal detecting with undisturbed ground. It doesn't look good. It doesn't bode well for the show. And it makes it look like there's a possibility of fraud. And so I understand that in Canada, Nova Scotia, on Oak Island, they have regulations, they have things that are different from private property in the United States and in other areas. They have to use an archaeologist in certain areas. They have to get permission to dig. They have to do everything by the laws and regulations of the area in which they're at. But I don't understand why, if they either have permission to metal detect or they don't. Why are they following after somebody else's metal detecting and metal detecting the area of flags? I don't understand that. Are they pulling out things, potential precious metals and things they don't want you to see? Are they planting things? It's just not a good optic. And but it is a very fascinating story, and I would like to, some of the things that I've found in my search, my research, and some of the maps, the old stone maps I've found on the ground, more closely seem to match what they're finding and what they have on Oak Island than what my initial theories and ideas were. I always attributed these things to the early Spanish, perhaps the Jesuits. But now as I go over, I have two sites that are more closely aligned with Masonic or Templar type of caches or sites than Spanish, in my opinion. One stone map has a menorah, or the candelabra, which maybe I'm wrong, but I've never seen in any other Spanish documents, writings, treasure information from any other sources. I haven't seen that candelabra used, and I have a panel that has a candelabra in it and a Star of David. And to me, that's more Templar, more possibly could be Jesuit. I think the Jesuit were probably familiar with those things. I mean, the things in the Jewish records and scriptures have been around for a long time, and so the research, the people that are educated would know and understand those things. I just haven't seen those things used in any other sites associated with the Spanish, but I have seen those things now because of Oak Island and because of their trips over to the old world to look in some of the monasteries and some of the cathedrals. I've seen some of those same writings and inscriptions on these panels that are found in those Knights Templar panels. So it's very interesting, and it keeps my curiosity and interest up. And someday I hope to resolve the mysteries that I'm researching and looking into, and then I will be able to more educated and more thoroughly answer the questions of what's going on some of these sites. But I'm going to continue to follow Oak Island and hope they actually do find something. In these reality shows, these they have disclaimers and they have things in there that make you wonder. They have offered me, different groups and filming companies have offered a couple of my friends and I opportunities to be on these shows, and we've turned them down because of the agreements that we would have to sign. And one of the reasons that I turned down a couple of these opportunities is because I have read in these agreements things that are not, in my view, they're not honest, they're not forthright, they're not the direction that I want to go. I only want to show factual information. I'm not about recreational things and about the word is embossing or about exaggerating things, even though that sells movies and that sells video and it garners interest. I believe that history and what's there should stand for itself, and if you find something, you find something. If you don't, you don't. And you don't make things up in between to go from issue to issue. And I suspect that some of those things are happening on Oak Island. I hope I'm wrong. I would like to see some statement made about the authenticity of the show, and if anybody has any inside information or knowledge about that, I'd like to hear about it in the comments below. Thank you.